Okay, so recently I threw out that there were a few Best Picture winners from the 1990s that I did not particularly care for. Those two pictures were The English Patient and American Beauty from 1996 and 1999, respectively, I believe. People have asked me why I don't like these movies, because I guess some of you enjoy the movies. I have not talked about why I don't like them in other videos, so I'll talk about that now. Although to give you a really complete, good criticism of these movies, I probably have to go back and watch them again. It's been some time since I've seen either one of them, and I may like them now, who knows. But I can tell you why I didn't like them when I watched them, and I think I've seen both of them twice in different years. And the main thing that both of these have in common that I don't like is the characters. I think they're full of bad characters. And I don't mean bad in that they're like poorly rendered characters or characters with bad motivations or they're one-dimensional. I really mean that they are morally bad characters. They are bad people, and I don't really root for the success of bad people, and I don't really care about their outcomes with their aims in a plot with bad characters. In fact, in both of these movies, I wanted pretty much the entire cast to just go away and quit bothering me when I was watching the movies. And that's the main reason that I dislike both of them. And there are other technical reasons why I think The English Patient is not a good movie. It's kind of schizophrenic in its editing, like it goes back and forth between time. But the main reason that The English Patient, I think, fails is its characters. And if we just look at English Patient to start, you have these characters that are always doing things according to their immediate desires, with no sort of thought for honor or virtue or other people's needs, wants and needs. There's no sort of deeper moral conflict. People just act on their base desires throughout the entire movie, and it causes tragedy. But that tragedy, I don't remember it ever being like presented in the movie as the result of bad people, right? It's not like bad people getting their comeuppance, which might be satisfying. If you watch a movie about a villain who finally gets it at the end, that's a different feeling from watching a movie about villains that are portrayed as heroes, and their tragic downfall is supposed to be sad, when in the end you don't really care because you don't like them. Like there's these two characters in English Patient. One of them's married, the woman's married, and they just begin this extramarital sexual affair for no real reason. There's no specific kind of attraction they have, but Hollywood often confuses lust and love. This is a really constant thing, that sexual attraction is the same as love, and it's a very adolescent view of what should be a very adult understanding of love and those sorts of things. So the characters have lust for one another, and that is a love story. And then you have the characters basically do bad things as a result. They begin an extramarital affair. That affair causes, of course, the husband to like have this. I think he crashes a plane into him or something. It's been a while. And then the main character, he does all sorts of things to try to recover this woman he loves, which is really just someone he had sexual feelings for, including, like, I think he trades some maps to some Nazis, and I think they used the maps to kill other people. So he does really, really despicable things. And then in the end, he ends up burned. Of course, like they tell the story with all this temporal disruption that confuses it. The nurse is a really fairly despicable person, a very petty person. Then at the end of the movie, they have this like assisted suicide, if I remember right, where he asks for like a lethal dose of drugs. And you'd think that there'd be like this thing like, is assisted suicide right or wrong? Because he's in so much pain as a burn victim. And really the conflict is, well, should he suffer for what he did? Has he suffered enough? And I don't have a good answer for that, other than I'm like, the suicide wasn't a resolution for his character or anything that happened. He had no redemption. Nobody had any redemption, and nothing that anybody did had any purpose in the movie for the characters or otherwise. So I ended up really not liking The English Patient for that specific reason, besides finding it also very, very boring. I think I've sat through it twice, and I think I regret both times. It was a very long movie for what was in it. But I have to go back and watch it again to give you like a full opinion. American Beauty has the same problems. American Beauty is probably a technically better movie in terms of how it was made and the things that it does in it, the unique things that it does as a film. However, all the characters are, again, despicable petty, kind of worthless people. You have this middle-aged guy played by Kevin Spacey who's really creepy in the movie. And I kind of realize now that Kevin Spacey was probably just playing a heterosexual version of himself at this point. And now that we know a little bit more about Kevin Spacey, but he has this all these lustful feelings for a teenager. And so, of course, the movie doesn't view these lustful feelings as particularly bad. In fact, they're part of like this character's he's like imprisoned by this awful suburban life, and this teenage girl is so attracted to him. It kind of promotes like ephebophilia, or like, the sexual attraction to adolescents, the objectification of young girls in particular. And I don't know if the movie intended to criticize that at all, but it's presented with, I think it begins with him watching a cheerleader, right? And then he becomes infatuated with this cheerleader. And so cheerleaders are, there's a lot of questions about the objectification of girls through cheerleading outfits and things like that. And I don't know if it intended to do that, but that's sort of what I think struck me at the time, was this sexualization of this girl. And then also, that's a really contemptible kind of feeling that he's got there as a married man. Then, of course, like he has his wife, and his wife is just like like an old nag, but she just starts having an affair with somebody else, and she's really happy about it, and it's great. And the movie doesn't view it as bad. And then I think she kills her husband at the end, and that's the end of the movie. That's like the resolution that you've been waiting for, and which is a terrible resolution. It doesn't resolve anything, just like the Lethal Injection doesn't. No character completes any kind of meaningful arc or has any growth. You have the next door neighbor kid who's just crazy and creepy, and the girl likes him for some reason. You have the next door neighbor, his father is this super anti-homosexual like army officer. It's like a major or something like that. And he's super, there's like a gay couple that lives down the street, and he like hates him for being gay, and why do they have to be all gay out in the open? And of course he's a repressed homosexual. We kind of all probably saw that coming. And so I view it as sort of this postmodern movie. There's no sense of moral right or wrong. Same thing with English Patient. There's no sense of moral right or wrong. There's no sense of anything being virtuous. Everything's sort of relative. The systems of good and bad can vary depending on the person. It's good that this woman has this affair because it makes her feel free or feel better. It's good that this guy's lusting after this teenager. I mean, like it's good that these kids I think they run away from home at some point. Everything's viewed through a lens of total, kind of nihilism, right? That none of that really matters, or maybe not nihilism, but that each moral system's maybe purely aesthetic. We've reduced morals to just an aesthetic thing, and we kind of express that through the characters. And as a result, I didn't like any of the characters. I disliked all of them, and then it becomes a harder movie to sit through, even if it's effective with some of its technical things that it does. Some of the ways that the film can be made well, but it's expressing something that is sort of rotten, and that rottenness is what makes the film objectionable, not the technical nature of it. And so that's what I really remember about these movies, is those characters basically making me not like them. And if there's no one that I root for, I get kind of bored with movies, and I really don't want to watch them. And if the movie is partaking in that viewpoint and promoting that viewpoint, then it's that much more annoying to watch. In fact, when I think about these movies, people are like, oh yeah, Hollywood has become so, like this, so political, or so anti-Western, or so anti-Christian. It's like, it's been that way for a long time. And you look at these movies, they're just actively promoting do what you want kind of aesthetics, and morals are just aesthetics kind of thing. And so that's why I really didn't like them, and that's what I remember about them. But if you want me to go back and watch them again, I might do that, just because I think it might be interesting to view them as a more mature person. But certainly the times that I've seen them in the past, I found the characters really contemptible, and that's going to stop me from liking a movie. And maybe that's the case for you, maybe it's not. Maybe you can watch really contemptible characters. I felt the same way like watching House of Cards. I couldn't really get through the series because I hated every single character And I'm like, why am I actively subjecting myself to things that I hate? So anyway, leaving your comments down below, I do appreciate it. And I hope you will let me know what else you want me to review or take a look at or make content on. I do appreciate it, and I'll see you next time.